How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Crypto Clout. My name is FaZe Crypto, and today we are looking at a lot of green, and this is pretty refreshing to see this sort of upward mobility in the light of the really depressing market cap that we've been seeing, things moving in a downward position, but I think that this spike was well overdue. So Google has taken an interest in Cardano, and I think that this relationship between Cardano and Google could really develop into something beautiful. When you pay attention to the Cardano, basically their plans for the future, and the timeline and so forth, I think as we see things continue to move forward, I mean, we're right smack dab in the middle of 2018 at the time of making this video, and I think that there's really a lot of important things that are going to be happening in the years of 2019, 2020, and in particular 2021 that are really going to boost up these technologies that are positioning themselves in a really strategically important way as things continue to move forward. I think Cardano is essentially doing something that's unprecedented in the world of cryptocurrency, and of course this could either rise Cardano to the top, or it could take a little bit longer than expected, but ultimately long term I'm very much excited to see what's in store for this technology and how we're going to be seeing these various different developments happening over a short period of time. I would say that a short-term estimate for Cardano, we could definitely see it moving upward from where it is currently. I mean, it's at 13 cents at the time of making this video, but I really could easily see Cardano at 25 cents by the end of 2018, even more, because when you take into consideration where Cardano is headed, I mean, there are a lot of different things that we need to pay attention to, but the way that the community is headed and the way that the overall public consciousness is shifting in a way that's going hand in hand with the cryptocurrency paradigm shift, Cardano is definitely one of those technologies that's really aware of where things are headed and how we're going to be looking at a completely different environment years from now, and that's really going to essentially be playing into Cardano's favor as things continue to move forward. So seeing Cardano and Google, their names together, I really think it has potential to be a really, really big move as things continue to move forward. So I'm definitely looking excited for that. I think that there's a tendency of the community to panic. There's a lot of people who are still new to cryptocurrency who see things moving in one direction and tend to have their decisions already made out for themselves. And I'm sure there's people who are feeling pretty silly right now that were believers, possibly sold though, before we reached this upward mobility. But a big fat congratulations to everybody out there who had the foresight and enough basically education to see that we eventually move through these downward momentum and we see upward momentum. It's a very volatile space, cryptocurrency, and those of us who've been involved with cryptocurrency for any amount of years, we're obviously pretty fine-tuned and adjusted to the situations and dynamics of the nature of the beast when it comes to cryptocurrency volatility, but the way that I see it, this is all just par for the course. We're going to see a lot of these different variables coming together in the next year, but for now we have to deal with seeing this sort of volatility and having things sort of being all over the place. And one of the fundamental indicators of moving out of this stage of volatility that we've seen is going to involve regulations. It's going to involve the institution getting themselves involved with cryptocurrency in a way that not everybody really wants to see happen. So take advantage of the situation and the dynamics as they currently are, or don't, but bear in mind the fact that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, seeing this amount of volatility in the way that the space is currently acting, because cryptocurrency really is a paradigm shift in and of itself when it comes to seeing the way that these technologies offer really pivotal momentum shift in the way that various different technologies and data can be used and applied in various different levels of society. So when I look at this list of cryptocurrencies on here, we've got Bitcoin, Bitcoin in the number 1 position, of course, Ethereum number 2, XRP number 3, Bitcoin Cash number 4, and of course all the way down here we have number 8, which is Cardano. Now, I've spoken before about Cardano, taking into consideration the fact that, of course, Bitcoin was essentially the first generation of cryptocurrencies. Now, what this essentially boils down to is the fact that it was the introduction of the concept of digital gold to the greater communities at large, and now at this point everybody and their grandmother's heard of Bitcoin. So we've come this far, and as we continue to move forward and we see these different variables coming together, what we've really seen is a trend that moves towards smart contracts. So boom, you have the number 2 position, Ethereum, which essentially built upon that greater concept of digital currencies and applied this smart contract approach, which essentially now we're moving into the next stage, which I would term as stage 3, which really Cardano, if you look at the roadmap and what Cardano has in store as far as they're developing and what they plan to do, because like I said, it's important to actually look at these technologies and what they're going to be doing in the real world and how these different variables are going to be playing a significant a feasible role in the way that we see things continue to move forward. And I think Cardano, I don't think it's going to be in that number 8 position for very long. I'm really faithful in the fact that Cardano does have a lot of potential in store for it, and seeing it up 9.22%. I mean, obviously it was down for such a long period of time that anything's going to have it in the green at this point, but of course it is a good indicator of where the consciousness of the cryptocurrency community is headed and how this technology has gained a significant amount of momentum in such a short amount of time. I definitely have to give Cardano credit where credit is due. There really is a strong community that's built around it, and I think it's one of the more educated groups of community that's essentially people who are interested in Cardano are not first day cryptocurrency people for the most part. I mean, obviously there's some of those people across the board, but Cardano is not a noob cryptocurrency. It's for I think that when you do your research into it, you have to have more of a data perspective on things, which is essentially the way that I try to understand things in the cryptocurrency space, because I think that essentially when it comes down to it, doing your research is the most fundamental thing that you have available to you at every single day, that you could essentially build and essentially grow in respect to that and how these different technologies. But I mean, looking at the market cap at 254 billion, it's not great, but it is nice to just see a day when things are not completely going downwards and, you know, ultimately depressing. And I know that this can really throw a lot of people off seeing the way that the space acts, but it really, you have to have a realistic understanding of how this technologies are going to have to go through so many different checks and balances along the way as we see these different developments and the ways that they're going to be implemented in the future. For me, it's very exciting to see how this space is developed in such a short amount of time, because hey, I've been paying attention to cryptocurrencies since 2009, and I'm really interested in seeing where things are going to go in the near future. You see how one day everybody was reading a newspaper, and then a couple of years later everybody's watching a TV, and then before you know it, boom, smart TVs, smartphones, and more things are going to be getting smart as things continue to move forward. It's called the Internet of Things revolution, and it's happening hand in hand with cryptocurrency. And this is also happening at a really important time in essentially the development of society, where everybody seems to be more data conscious. You could see this happening in the conversation that's happening regarding Facebook and all these various different technology giants that are essentially being challenged by these new approaches to the internet and a more decentralized approach to how these things are going to be going. But I hope that you guys have enjoyed this content, and of course remember, this video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. The whole purpose of me making this video is to share my opinion, and remember, I'm not a financial advisor. This video is not financial advice. I'd recommend that you guys do your own research and of course come to your own conclusions when it comes to these technologies. And ultimately, I'm very excited to see where things are going to be going. I think that the trends are really pointing in a very positive direction. I'm definitely interested in seeing where things are going to go. So make sure that you guys guys are following Cardano on their official Twitter and so forth. And if you're interested, I'll actually be including a link to my Twitter down in the description. I'll actually be the first link in the description down below. So if you guys are interested in connecting with us, you can do so very easily by using that link down in the description. I'm always interested in hearing what you guys have to say regarding these technologies. I think we have a very great community that's grown around this channel, and I think as we continue to see things growing and we share our different information and opinions and so forth, I think we have a really great space here with a lot of smart people, some of the smartest people that I've had the pleasure of calling friends. So I just want to thank you guys just for watching this content, and I'll definitely see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.